Hi, everybody. I'm Bryan Mudd, a fan of South Plains politics. Here's your talking points for this week. In this time of COVID and when so many families are struggling, is it the right time for a school to be talking about a bond election and a tax increase? Leaders of one local district say they don't have a choice. And you sign up for the do not call list and they call. You block the source and they still text. Why campaigns seem adamant about getting their message to your phone.
From the studios of KAMC Television in Lubbock, your local election headquarters. This is Talking Points with Bryan Mudd.
Hey, thanks for joining us, everybody. Also this week, virtually done. With the Republican National Convention wrapped up, the president hopes for his post-convention polling boost in places like Wisconsin, Nevada, Arizona. But where's Texas in this? We talked last week about the lack of Texas Democrats speaking at their convention, even as they keep talking about turning the state blue. But frankly, Republicans weren't really on the Texas bandwagon this past week either. A few rising stars, but not to include a John Cornyn, for example, whose Senate re-election race here seems surprisingly close. Seemed a bit odd to me, and KAMC's Anna Warnicki takes a closer look.
As Americans tuned in to watch the Democratic and now Republican national conventions, they won't be seeing many Texans.
Texas could have a bigger role. We all know that.
Obi Rahman with the Texas Democratic Party says they hope the state would have a large presence, considering Texas holds 38 electoral votes this November.
For us, we think it's the biggest battleground state in the country, and we know that. And really, if we win Texas, Donald Trump can't win the White House.
Rahman says the DNC squeezed a few more Texans into its lineup, only after the state party complained.
We ended up having 8 Texas speakers at the DNC.
As for the Republicans, right now only 2 Texans are poised to take the stage. Texas Republican Congressman Dan Crenshaw and Abby Johnson, a former Planned Parenthood employee.
But you would think a guy like Senator John Cornyn, who is up for re-election, would get a time slot.
Political science professor Gary Nordlinger says the parties had to cut a lot of speakers for this year's virtual conventions because they only had 2 hours to fill each night.
So there's just not a lot of airtime available. It's not like you can put them on at 5 in the afternoon like you would at a traditional convention.
But Nordlinger says leading up to Election Day, what really matters will be where the candidates choose to focus their attention after the conventions. In Washington, I'm Anna Warnicki.
All right, Anna, thank you. Before we move into election season, we still got to finish up with budget season here, and a lot of folks are wondering about that. So let's bring in Lubbock County's District 4 Commissioner Chad See. Talk about how the county budget's shaping up here this year. Good to see you, my friend.
Good to see you.
Man, so where are we now in the budget process? I guess we have to have it done, have something before the end of September, right?
Well, we're still having our public hearings, which on September 1st at 6 o'clock in our building just to the north of us, the 916 building, we're having an open forum to talk about the budget to the public. And we wanted to do this after 6 o'clock. That way, more people that have to work during the day can actually show up and voice their opinions about what we're doing.
Right.
We have got us a good budget. It's all finished and finalized, and we have not voted on the tax rate yet to fund this budget, and so that's what our hearings are about. Our first vote will be September 14th.
Gotcha. All right, so let's talk about the tax rate here. And as I understand, we have essentially 2 options now. We have 3 options. Well, okay, well, take me through it all, but we can stay with what we had last year, the current rate.
The current rate is 0.339978. If we do the no new revenue rate, which used to be called the effective rate,
right,
that is 0.330575. Or then you have what's called the rollback election rate. That's where if we go over 3.5%, it actually has to go to a vote.
Right.
And that would be 0.340101.
Okay. Now that sounds crazy to a lot of people and over a lot of people's head. What's the difference between all these? What would it cost us? First of all, for an average homeowner?
Well, if we stick with our no new revenue rate, of course, it's going to be the same. Now, depending on if your house did increase in value or decreased in value, we're playing on averages. Right. So the average would stay the same. If we went with what our current rate is, the average person would see about $9 per year.
Okay. So that's, a lot of people, and you included as you got into this, said, look, you've said, I don't want to charge anybody more taxes. Nobody wants to pay any more taxes.
What a lot of people don't understand, that $9, that's just for the average family. If you have somebody who owns a business, which I own too, or you have these larger companies, say like McDougal or Beaton Bowes, we're talking thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. Well, they're not going to eat that cost. They're going to pass it on to the customers. So that's going to raise the rates of what our housing market is around here. All the houses are going to be more. So it's going to create even more taxes, not just that $9 for your own house. Restaurants, they're going to have to raise the price of food. So you're going to see it in more places than just that $9.
So you would rather keep it at the
no new revenue
the old,
rate.
yeah,
Correct.
old effective now, no new revenue or whatever you call it now. All right. So how can you do that and still pay for the things that you want to do?
Well, one of the things, there's two important things that we're trying to do this year, and it's all about public safety.
Right.
First of all, our sheriff, he does a great job. He's having a hard time retaining his people. We're one of the lowest paying sheriff's departments in the entire state. I mean, it's really bad. We lose a lot of people after we train them. They either go to LPD, they go to the schools, they go to DPS, or they'll go to other sheriff's departments because they pay better. I was telling you about a good friend of mine who lives here in Lubbock. He drives to Martin County to work because they pay better than what Lubbock County does.
Wow.
So we're putting in roughly $2 million into the sheriff's department budget. That increases their step pay, fully funded, plus it gives some incentive pay to just help them out. And it doesn't even get close to what the city of Lubbock's paying, but it shows that we're helping.
Right.
The other thing we have are volunteer fire departments. From looking at these guys, they've got bunker gear and SCBAs. They're so old they can't even be retested. And I don't want to put these guys at risk of going into a burning building knowing, hey, my gear's not NFPA approved because it won't even meet the standards. So we're trying to help these guys out. Now that being said, we can do all that stuff and keep the current rate. But one of the things I brought up during our budget session, with this year, with our reserves that we have, we can pay down a $1.65 million contract that we have for IT. Plus, we have some video visitation stuff, hardware stuff out of the jail, which is $1.3 million. So that gives us $3 million to cover this, and we can still use the no new revenue rate.
So why wouldn't we do that, or why wouldn't others want to do that?
Some of the commissioners are afraid it's going to hurt our bond rating, which when I first came in here, we had $23 million in reserves. That was about $3 million less than what the state recommends. After my first year of being here, plus doing all our cuts, we've had tremendous growth. We went to $35 million. So even with paying all our capital expenses, plus paying on for the sheriff's department and volunteer fire departments, that's still going to put us above what the state requires as being our minimum, not requires, but recommends as our minimum. And if our bond rating wasn't affected when we were below what they recommended, why would it affect us if we're above? So that's the only thing they're worried about is the bond rating, and I'm not worried about that.
And we've mentioned before, there are bond issues when it comes to the road projects that we have planned.
We're fixing to take on about $40 million this next coming year, and that's the Woodrow Road project.
Right. Which has to get done here at some point.
Our engineering's about 70% done. TxDOT likes it, which we're going to get money from the MPO back of about $17 million. It's the first time ever that Lubbock County has got this much of a percentage from the MPO. It's usually the state takes a bunch, the city takes a bunch, and the county usually gets about 7%. This past year, working really hard with the MPO, we're going to get about 30% of the money, and that's all going to go there. So we can either pay our bond off early or fix more roads, which after being a commissioner for 18 months, we have some serious road problems.
Might want to do that. One more time on the public hearings real quick before we have to go.
It's going to be September 1st. That's a Tuesday at 6 o'clock at the 916 building. That's the building just to the north of the courthouse. It's going to be on the first floor.
Go see them all and tell them what you think. Chad C., County Commissioner of Precinct 4. Good to see you again, my friend.
Thanks, sir.